Welcome back to BSG. Next up is Aeshmah with Murasama, the Demon Blade. Real quick before we start, let me see what the state of the bid is in. Alright, it is seem that no more donations came in, so that means it will be Fury 1 HP mode.
Alright. Well, hello everyone, I'm Aeshmah. I'm gonna be running Murasama the Demon Blade, or rather Muramasa Rebirth for you. And it's a pretty RNG heavy run, so I think without further ado, we have about an hour to talk about the run anyway. Let's get ready on the timer, and let's get this run going in 3, 2, 1, go! So, for anybody familiar with the game, this actually initially released on the Wii in 2009. But in 2012, it had actually been ported to the PlayStation Vita, and since you can play your PlayStation Vita games, on the PlayStation 2e, that is what we are going to do here. Now this game is a kind of action RPG game, so you have some RPG elements sprinkled in there, but everything is like this real-time battle system that you just saw, which relies heavily on combos and stuff like that. One thing already about all these encounters that we're gonna do here against these ninjas and stuff, they are all random. So the battle arenas or the battle triggers themselves are set in place. However, it is random if you are gonna run into an enemy, if an encounter starts, and of course which enemies you're ultimately gonna face. So as you can imagine, that can be a huge factor in the run itself, depending on which enemies you're facing and how many of them. So let's preach RNG this a little bit to see if we are indeed getting lucky. Having said that, I actually do want to take some encounters because I need to be certain levels at certain points in the game in order to equip certain equipment. I'll talk about more of that a little bit later. But yeah, generally you do want to take as few encounters as you possibly can, as RNG allows. However, you don't want to take too few, otherwise you might be a little bit under leveled and not be able to equip the things that you do want to equip. Speaking of which, we are playing this game on Fury mode, as you guys graciously donated for. Fury mode is the 1 HP mode of the game, as you can see in the upper left corner underneath this candlestick that would actually represent your HP bar. However, for the whole run, we will only ever have 1 HP, even if we do level up. Because that is just Fury mode's stick. And basically what that means is, of course, that every single hit that I take will ultimately kill me and I will have to restart the encounter. However, that's not necessarily true in a way that all the weapons, all the swords that I can equip have an HP bar or a guard bar or whatever you want to call it of themselves, which you can see in the upper middle of the screen where it says Divine Moon, and then there is a blue bar underneath it. That is basically the HP bar of that particular sword. Now I can have about 3 blades equipped that I can cycle through like this. So I basically have, 3 separate HP bars that I can use to protect myself to not instantly die from attacks. However, there are of course attacks that just instantly break your blade, and with that the attack will ultimately always go through. So there are still insta-death attacks that I basically have to watch out for, mainly from the bosses that we're gonna face. So yeah, this is gonna be a nice and fun ride, I wanna say. Story of the game is we are playing as Momohime, which we actually are not in a way, because as we will learn in just a moment, she has been possessed by this Ronin-like swordmaster character who was basically about to die, or rather he wanted to possess a more powerful character. However, Momohime jumped in front of his attack, and that is why actually Jinkaro's soul is now inhibiting her body. And that has all kinds of consequences, as we will learn in just a minute here in our first boss fight. So this is actually the end of the intro sequence of the game, where we'll face our first boss, the Blue Monk. Now you would think, hey, it's, you know, the first boss, the game is trying to go easy on you, and yeah, he is a bit of a stationary big target that you can just wallop on. However, all of his attacks have some nasty properties that can very easily break your blade. So he can actually be a bit of a roadblock in a speedrun setting because, you know, you want to get rid of him as quickly as possible, obviously. However, for that you always have to be near him. So let's see how lucky we are with the attacks he's gonna do. Now you can kind of see what he's about to do by the animation he does. And this body drop that he just did there, this is basically his insta blade break attack, or whatever you want to call it. It will instantly break your blade, it will instantly kill me on Fury, so I do want to watch out for that, and then he does it just again. So a little bit of concentration here. The way you want to attack is if you just mash these attack button 4 times, you will do your standard combo. However, the last hit that you do, while it deals a good amount of damage, takes a long while to get out. So you want to do 3 quick attacks and then do this slide attack that you see me doing at the end of my combos, which deals about the same amount of damage. However, it comes out a little bit quicker and just and that way increases your DPS. And my god, he really wants to belly flop today, doesn't he? But yeah, basically this is a pretty big... you know, he's being pretty nice to me right now. You can lose a lot of time on that guy if he just does not do attacks that you can easily avoid or counter, or that will just instantly break your blade. So getting really lucky with the dude today, which is nice to see at the start of the run, you know, makes me feel good about the whole thing. So a few more hits, and we should be done with him. Alright, that was a pretty good fight. I am totally happy with that one. We level up as well, which is nice. Got a new sword, and yeah, now we basically learn story-wise what I just said, you know, the whole soul transfer stuff. However, the people that I talked to before are some kind of monks who know what Jinkaro is up to. And what they did is they actually captured Momohime's original soul. Now, without the original soul of the body itself, the body will basically, you know, wither away and crumble. And so Jinkaro is operating on, well, basically limited time here. You do want to go and retrieve Momohime's soul, so now our goal is to go ahead and track down Rankai, the monk that we spoke to, who has Momohime's soul in his possession. So we're gonna go ahead and explore a little bit. Coming back to the weapons that we have, I can equip up to a maximum of 3 blades at once that I can cycle through, as I explained earlier. There are about 108 different swords that you can pick up / craft in this game, which is pretty much a staggering amount. However, they are also kind of the only equipment that you get in the run, and they basically are a huge increase in your damage output, in your power. And that is why I wanted to have certain levels at certain points, because you do need certain stats like strength and vitality to actually equip them. Now, every level up that I get will, of course, increase my strength and vitality, like in any RPG that you know. And that is why I do want to take random encounters to get those levels to be able to equip better and stronger blades, so I won't be struggling against the bosses so much. However, not only can you craft swords, you also get some... Rather, after every boss that you kill, you get another demon blade, which you can also instantly go ahead and equip. And we actually need those demon's blades that we get from the bosses to be able to proceed in the story. Because what you will see coming up in just a moment here is a barrier. And they are basically color-coded. You know, you have your red barriers, your blue barriers, your purple barriers, what have you. And every time you defeat a boss, you get a sword that can destroy a certain color barrier, like you can see here. You know, we defeated the Blue Monk, we got the Celestial Origins sword, and now we can destroy those red barriers. And that is basically how the game halts your progression at certain points and tells you, hey, you know, you gotta go and fight this boss there to get that blade to be able to continue in the story. But yeah, it basically plays a bit, I want to say, like a Metroidvania in that regard. As you can basically see here, you have these wide open areas that you can traverse and get lost in a way. But it's not like, you get actually different abilities like a double jump or something. You have that from the beginning to have a look around all these areas. It's more like, find this blade to be able to go there, here and there. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind, if I get into a random encounter, I cannot escape those unless I use a smoke bomb. And smoke bombs are very valuable items. Like you can only ever have a maximum of 9 of any item anyway. However, smoke bombs are a very rare drop that you can get from ninjas. So of course, every time I see ninjas, I will basically rejoice because I have a chance of getting some for free. And if you were to buy those, they will cost you 80 mon, which is the currency of the game, as you can see in the lower right corner. However, the enemies in this game are rather poor, so you will not get a lot of money just fighting enemies. So, money is very valuable, and as such, smoke bombs are very valuable. And I will need a certain amount of smoke bombs in certain parts of the game to be able to skip some of the more dastardly encounters. So, yeah. Smoke bombs are a very high valuable commodity in that way. So I will just go ahead and craft some actual weapons here, as I explained earlier. So this is the crafting menu. There you can see all the 108 swords that you can get / craft. And to actually be able to do that, you need souls and spirits. You get souls by simply killing enemies, and you get spirit by eating food. So there is a lot of food that you can get in this game. And food comes with its own buffs. You saw me cook the cabbage stew, which increases my strength. So not only do I have a more powerful sword equipped now, I also deal more damage because I increased my strength stat by eating this cabbage stew. And now this is an encounter against these Kappa enemies that you actually you don't want to see it, because as you saw just now, it takes a lot of time to get through that encounter. So that's already a little bit of a time loss. I would rather have fought some ninjas or some other enemies that I can dispatch a little bit quicker. But like I said, I don't want to waste a smoke bomb on that. So I will just take that encounter. Now they saw me actually buy some more smoke bombs. As explained, I will need them later, and also some bronze mirrors. Now what the bronze mirrors allows us to do is we can instantly teleport to the last point that we saved on. We can save at these blue portals before any boss, or at the shrines out in the world map. And what that basically allows us to do is we will save at very specific points out in the world, so we can quickly go back to that point in order to progress with the story. Because once I will defeat the next boss enemy, the game will tell me, we have to go back to a certain point in the world map to be able to continue with the story. And of course, as speedrunners, we know where that is going to be, so we will save at the nearest shrine to that point as we come across it, to be able to save on some backtracking that we would otherwise have to do. So every time you see me save, I don't just do it for safety, I do it for a very specific reason. You don't actually need to do any safety saves per se, because if you were to die, / lose in an encounter, you can basically just restart at that specific point. You only have to start the fight over, which is not a lot of punishment, unless of course you are fighting a boss, because bosses can take a good 3 minutes or so to get through. So every time you see me die to a boss, you can already tell that that is going to be a massive time loss for me. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But yeah, we're just making our way through this lovely rendered background town. I mean, this game has been developed by Vanillaware. You might know Vanillaware from other games like Dragon's Crown or the recent 13 Sentinels game. They are all very lovely games to look at, very finely crafted. They do know their art for sure. So I'm always excited when the new Vanillaware game gets announced, because just look at it, it's so beautiful. Can you imagine that this game came out in 2009 originally? Like, holy crap. But yeah, we are fast approaching the second boss of the run here. Just gonna get through some more monks. Now for the fights themselves, you can probably guess it works a bit like in a beat-em-up game where you try and get all these enemies bunched up so you can hit all of them at once. This sometimes works better, sometimes it doesn't work as well, but that's just another factor of RNG that can sometimes come in. But yeah, it's just a couple more screens and we are at the second boss, which is a bit of a doozy. Like, he has a lot of attacks that can instantly break your blade, so I will have to be very cautious fighting him, because those attacks also come out very quickly. And, you know, since I want to be up into his face a lot of the time to actually be able to hit him, that can, of course, be a little bit of a problem. Now, another thing that I haven't talked about yet is this draw attack you saw me do. During any fight, I can, of course, switch between my 3 blades. And if you see them flashing white, as they do sometimes, whenever I switch my blade, I can actually do this draw attacks, which is a screen-wide attack that deals a good amount of damage, and it gets basically rid instantly of these flying woolly eyeball kind of enemies that you saw me fight just now, because they basically only have 1 HP. That's just a lot of them on screen at once. And yeah, those kappas are... oh god. Having to fight them once is already bad enough, but having to fight them twice in this area is like really not great. So that's already quite a bit of time lost here. Alright, anyway, I got through it. I could have opted to use a smoke bomb because I think I have an extra one, but you know, I would rather save my resources in case of safety later on, because starting in chapter 6, I will really need to rely on my smoke bombs, because the enemies are going to be so much more powerful than I am, that you really just don't have another recourse but just flee from them, because having to fight them is basically just a death sentence, and if you don't have any more smoke bombs at that point, well, you are a little bit screwed, to say the least. Another thing that you will notice, which will happen every time here, is before you can fight a boss, you will have to go through some more story missions, not story missions, story beats, where you have to talk to all of these characters in order to, well, progress the story. And that is something that will just happen basically before every boss fight. You'll have some of these dialogue sections, and with a boss fight, another dialogue section afterwards, another cutscene, and then you are on your way again for the next chapter. But yeah, upcoming is Vanillaware. It's this lovely looking wheel dude, and he is pretty dangerous. So yeah, that attack that he saw him do just now, where he just runs around the ground here, that is his attack that can totally screw me over, because it will instantly break my blade. You absolutely do not want to get hit by that, if at all possible. Okay. That was a bit sketchy.
Are you good if I plug something real quick?
Go ahead, yeah. I'll just have to concentrate on this fight a bit.
Alright. We are the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering. We organize bi-monthly gatherings in the Benelux for speedrunners. Due to the situation surrounding COVID-19, we are currently doing our events online for the time being. This event features streamers from both the Benelux and the rest of the world, bringing you entertainment during the lockdown. We hope you enjoy the event.
Alright, we're doing good work on him so far. So let's see if we can keep that up as we slash down his HP bars. Now you might have noticed the bosses don't actually die when I deplete the big HP bar at the bottom. Oh, this is gonna be a little bit of a problem, because that is his big attack that he's charging up to do here. So, yep, there we go. You absolutely do not want to see the attack that he just did there, because it can very easily kill you, as you just saw, which is really unfortunate because it was right at the tail end of the fight there. So we'll just have to do it all over again. Fun! Also, I forgot to actually cook some more cabbage stew before the fight, so this might actually work out in my favor, because now I actually deal a bit more damage with my attacks, hopefully being able to kill him before he does that attack again. So what you actually want to do here is, if you press your attack button 3 times while you're in the air, you will do your full air combo. However, the last hit of that will instantly drop you back to the floor. So you actually only want to tap your attack button twice to basically float in the air, and then when you're close to the ground, you want to just slash down to deal a little bit more damage. So there's a bit of a timing component to this, as if you wouldn't have to manage enough stuff already. But it just maximizes your DPS, so it's a good thing to do. But yeah, as I was talking about the HP bars, you can see the big HP bar at the lower portion of the screen, which is of course the boss's health. However, there's another smaller bar to the left of it, and that is basically his HP reserve in a way. Every time I deplete his larger health bar, there will be a chunk subtracted of the smaller one, and you actually have to deplete both of them. So you know, it's not exactly phases of the fight. There doesn't necessarily change anything once he recharges some of his health from the smaller bar. But you know, don't just think that you are close to defeating him just because you depleted one health bar, basically. Oh god! Oh, that was close. Where are you? Okay, we're unlucky again, and he did it again, the bastard. Alright, as you can see, this can be tricky. We nearly had him, but he is just having none of it. So we'll just have to try and get through this fight again. And there's basically not a lot you can do about those attacks. Sometimes, you know, the game just decides, hey, I hate you a bit today, so please die. And you just have to try and go and make the best of it. Alright. Now this boss is probably also quite infamous if you play this game casually. Like, he is a huge step up in difficulty for new players alike as veterans, because you have to fight him in a whole other way than you know, the first boss, because this is a flying enemy. You can't just chill out on the ground, so to speak, and hit him with your actually damaging slide attack here. So you will have to learn to combo in the air quite heavily. This is looking a bit better.
Let's hope boss realizes it's a marathon run.
Oh, he does know it's a marathon run. That is why he wants to stay on screen the whole time, I think.
Right, the publicity.
Alright. And there he goes again. Ah, shit. And he did it again. Damn it. Well, this is really unfortunate now. He really wants his time in the spotlight. Now, talking about, I did account for things like that happen in my estimates, so we should still be good as long as this doesn't happen over and over again. But that is why I said that this guy is a little bit infamous when you fight him, because once he does his attack there at the end, there isn't a lot you can do to counter it. You can just try and get lucky, see what he tries to do when he does it, and hope that you somehow, by some kind of miracle, get through it. But you actually want to try and kill him before that happens. Which is actually strange, because I've never seen him do that attack that often back to back. Like, I think I've only ever saw it like maybe 3 times in all the time that I've been running this game. So seeing it every single attempt that I'm doing against him is like really, really unfortunate.
So you would say that attack is actually quite rare.
It actually is, yeah.
Right. Real quick, while you while you're busy with that, I just want to promote some of the bits we have going on nearing the end of the marathon. There's a choice between Aqua, Terra, and Ventus for Kingdom Hearts, Birth by Sleep. And then there's a Hollow Knight All Skills ending choice between killing my fly and talking to Elderbug. If you have any interest in that, both of especially the Hollow Knight All Skills ending choice still has no money donated to it, so you'll be able to determine the outcome of that fairly easily for now.
And he's gonna do it again. Fantastic.
Games are sentient.
Okay, this is getting stupid at this point. This is getting really stupid. Like, holy crap, dude, what is wrong with you today? He really wants his place in the spotlight. Dude, there are other people who we want to see today, so could you move over? I mean, I guess it gives me a little bit of time to talk about another mechanic of the game, which is the, what do we call it? The blade switch, maybe? I don't think we actually have an official name for that, but what you will see me do before every boss fight is I will go ahead and switch to the most powerful blade that I have, and then probably not use it. In this case, meaning that... wait, why is it doing it now? He is madly in love with his attack today. What the heck? You know, I've seen him do that on his last health bar, but never this early in the fight. Wow. Okay. As I was saying, I will go ahead and equip the most powerful blade that I have at that point in the game. However, I will always fight with the first blade that I have equipped. And that is because the game is kind of wonkily programmed, so each blade has its own strength rating, its own attack rating, so to speak. However, when you start a boss fight, you will always default to the first blade that you have equipped out of the 3 that you have. However, the game doesn't properly reset the quote-unquote strength value of your blades. Meaning that, let's say I have a weapon with an attack rating of 80 equipped in my 3rd slot, I would go ahead and equip that for the boss fight, and then it will default me back to a blade in my 1st slot that only has an attack rating of 20. That 20 attack power blade will actually have the 80 attack power of the blade that I had equipped before I started the fight. And that is a nice commodity, as you might very well imagine. And the dude just did it again. Okay, you know what? I will just go ahead and cook another cabbage stew.
While you do that, I just like to remind everyone that we're raising money for Mind, which is a nationwide organization committed to prevent mental health issues and to support everyone who is dealing with mental issues themselves or within their family. All your donations will go to Mind. Because in every region of the world, mental disorders actually surpass 10% of the population already. Governments seem to lack momentum in reducing the burden of mental health problems, as only 55% have mental health awareness and only 8% have suicide prevention plans. Organizations like Mind help raise awareness to the issue by helping us get one step closer to a world where everyone gets the help they need.
And in the meantime, when Yudo still sticks around, I think he's also having some issues that he needs to work through today with me. So I'm kind of happy to oblige, but there are other people that we want to service today, so dude, move along.
Maybe you can offer them some cabbage too?
Nope, I don't think so.
Oh dear.
This is very unfortunate. I would even say this has never happened before. Like, this dude has never given me this much problems before, like, ever. This is really uncalled for. He really knows that this is gonna be a marathon run, you know.
We're just fixing the schedule, don't worry.
Well, I hope it doesn't need to come to that. Yeah, dude, chill. Like, literally, you know. All this fire is, you know, really angry, dude.
So, how much time save does this boss have in general? Like, if you beat this first try, is it like world record pace?
No. Like, you can... If you want to get for a world record, you would have to kill all the bosses first try. So, you know. They are not that bad. It's just like really, really unlucky what is happening on screen here. Like, he is giving me the worst RNG that you can basically get. Every single time, kinda. So, you know, if you're playing or if you're trying to practice this, it's not always this bad. Don't be discouraged of, you know, trying out this run for yourself if you think this is looking interesting. But wow, yeah. Dude is angry today. Okay, I think we are getting him down. Fingers crossed. Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking good. This is looking good. All right, my God, we got through it. Holy crap, that took
Hey, there we go.
Now, don't worry, not every boss is an angry fiery like he is, but I guess it is a good showcase of what can happen during a run like this. Let's just hope that we got all the bad luck out of the way in that single fight. I definitely hope we do. I do have, you know, anticipated that in the estimate, so we should still kind of be good. I mean, I don't have a look at the timer right now, and I guess I don't want to. But let's just hope that the other bosses are a little bit more forgiving for us here.
You'll be good, don't worry about it.
We will forge a very important blade right here, which is the Water Witch Blade. Now, the Water Witch Blade makes it so that we actually get more money from enemies, 10%. So we want to try and have that on us for basically the whole run. And we will actually do that. Spoiler alert. Because it is a very good sword for this point in the game, but because of, you know, that particular commodity there, I mean, I guess this blade will probably never leave my equipment from now on. And speaking of bad luck, fighting these Tengu is always a little bit iffy, so that is actually an encounter that you do want to run away from. However, since, you know, when Yudo showed his face, literally, I am not trusting this run very much right now, so I'm trying to hang on to my smoke bombs for dear life. So I will probably have to take 1 or 2 bad encounters along the way as well. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, this is a very RNG heavy run. Like how many encounters you get and which encounters you get is like up to pure chance, as well as of course which attacks the bosses will do, which can of course totally screw you over, as we saw very clearly at one Yudo. And apparently, since I'm calling out the game so much, it felt a little bit of pity and actually gave me a smoke bomb drop from these ninjas, which is actually really nice. So I might be able to use one here. But yeah, this is a very RNG heavy run. There is not a lot you can do. Of course, if you, as you're getting better at the game, you will be able to mitigate some of those RNG, well, problems that can arise. But even if you're starting to get pretty good at the game, it will just keep you on your toes. You know, this is a bit of an RPG at heart. And as we all know, RNG is a huge factor if you're running long games. JRPGs in particular, like any Final Fantasy game or what have you. And even though this is a bit of a shorter run, you know, the estimate is like 1 hour and 40 minutes at this point, it can still vary widely how fast you can go. So yeah, definitely do not want to fight these frogs. They are like way too tanky. It takes way too long to get through them. Again, they have a lot of attacks, or even one attack that can also instantly break your blades. So we say no to frogs. No thank you. I do not want to see you guys. Now you actually want to try and fight ninjas like every time you see them, as I explained earlier, except those, because the game also has like two different kind of encounters, you can say. Ones are the ones, you know, your standard encounters like here, where you are getting locked into the screen and you have to defeat the enemies to be able to progress or use a smoke bomb. And then there are screens where the enemies are just kind of there along the way, as you saw in that cave with the ninjas just now, where they are always in set places and you can just go ahead and proceed without having to worry about them. So that is kind of nice. And well, that is basically what we're going to do, is whenever we see that enemies already been set in place, we will just leave immediately and not even bother fighting them. Like this right now. Now there's a very important item in this screen. Oh, hello there. That's a nice surprise. Yeah, sometimes you will just go ahead and fight some wildlife, as you saw me do just now, which was a pheasant. That's really good, because if you kill these animals, you get them as an item. And I will actually need quite a few pheasants during the course of the run a little bit later. So that was a nice early pheasant that we got there. So I guess we actually did get all the bad luck out of the way, seeing how the game is treating me right now. And then again, it immediately makes these ninjas appear all over the place, not letting me then group up like I would want them to be able to get rid of them quickly. So yeah, the game giveth and the game taketh away immediately. But yeah, speaking about that item, speaking about that item that we just picked up, it is the Tango Mask. As I said earlier, you can equip up to 3 blades at once, and also a accessory. And this Tango Mask is an accessory that will increase my strength and vitality by 1 point, which basically allows me to equip a sword that is quote-unquote a little bit well, too high of a level requirement for me, so I can scrape by just a little bit there, which is always nice. And yeah, I was trying to take this encounter, even though it is kind of bad, to save up on my smoke bombs, but you know, these goblin-like enemies are also, they can also destroy your swords really well. So the second time I would just opt to not fight this in order so that we can continue on with the run, because I still should be good on smoke bombs. I don't want to tempt fate here too much because it has shown its face. So let's just, you know, continue on with this. Let's just hope that we don't get any more of those bad encounters, because I don't think I've actually seen this particular encounter in this area like ever, which can already tell you how often you were supposed to get this in this particular point. So yeah, RNG, it really is a thing in this run. Which also means that, you know, even though you're getting better and your times start going down, you can't absolutely see your times rise up just out of nowhere, just because you're just getting a string of bad encounters. Because, as I said earlier, you do need to fight some random encounters to have the specific level range at certain points to be able to equip better blades, so the bosses don't screw you over. So it really is a bit of a balancing act here. Like, do you want to take that encounter? Do you want to drop a smoke bomb and potentially screw you over later on because, you know, you don't have any smoke bombs anymore and stuff like that? There's just a lot that is going on, like mentally, calculation wise, in the background, that you just have to keep track of. Alright, we are slowly approaching the third boss of the game, which is Yukinojo. Yukinojo is actually the fiance of Momohime, you know, the quote-unquote original Momohime here. And let me just quickly get through this menu, so I don't actually go ahead and forge the wrong blades. That would be bad. And yeah, Yukinojo is Momohime's fiance. And what happened in the beginning of the game is that Jinkaro, the Ronin that has possessed Momohime, originally wanted to possess Yukinojo, but Momohime stopped the attack. That is why Jinkaro swapped souls with Momohime instead of Yukinojo, and what we're trying to do here is convince Yukinojo to give us another blade that could swap the souls back. However, he's having none of that, so I guess we just have to, get it out of him the good old-fashioned way in a little sword duel here. So, fingers crossed that this dude is, behaving a little bit more reasonably. It's like one Yujo did just now. Fight's going good so far. He's actually one of the easier bosses, I want to say. He does have attacks that actually bypass your block. However, you can actually always see them if he flashes blue and attacks me. That means that that particular attack will go through my block. And you can even see that I do take damage from those. However, the game is programmed in a way if you just hold down the block button when that happens, you actually don't take any damage for whatever reason. So this is actually a pretty safe fight as long as I don't totally screw it up. So fingers crossed. And of course, he is one of these samurai type enemy characters, which means he will actually use his own sword to block my attacks. So not only do I have to chew through his massive health bar, I also have to first destroy his sword so I can actually go ahead and damage him. And once his sword is destroyed, of course, I can actually go ahead and attack his health bar, but he has multiple blades as well, so after a while he will just bring out another blade like he did there, start blocking my attacks, so I have to attack him in turn to break it, and repeat that a couple times. And the fight will be done.
You okay if I read something?
Go ahead.
We are the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering. We organize bi-monthly gatherings in the Benelux for speedrunners where we raise money for charity. However, due to the situation surrounding COVID-19, we are currently doing our events online for the time being. These events feature streamers from both the Benelux and the rest of the world, bringing you, hopefully, some nice entertainment during the lockdown.
Alright, and with that, Yukinojo went down. Now what I could have done at the end there is, if you use your sword draw ability, as I explained earlier, when your swords are flashing white at the top of the screen, and you get an attack out when you switch your weapon, it instantly breaks the enemy's weapons, so I could have opted to switch out my blade to get rid of his last defense a little bit quicker there, but I opted to just go ahead and play it safe and not do that, and normally break his blade just so that no unplanned for attacks or something like that might happen. Because what you gotta keep in mind, I explained it earlier, how the weapon attack transfer, let's call it that, happens between your equipped blades when you enter a boss fight. However, if you were to go ahead and switch your weapon in the actual boss fight, of course, all the attack values would get reverted to their original. So again, in the example, you have a weapon in the third slot equipped with 80 attack power, you have a weapon equipped with 20 attack power in the first slot, you go to the boss fight, the 80 attack power gets transferred to the first weapon with 20 attack power, then you go ahead and switch your weapons in the boss fight, and after that all the values are reset to the original. So if I were to switch my weapons during a boss fight, that would mean that I would probably lose out on a lot of damage over the course of the fight, because I would have to fight it with a very, not as great weapon. And we definitely, of course, don't want to have to do that. For obvious reasons, I want to say. So that is also the reason why this category is of course a little bit harder to get through, because yes, not only do I die in one hit, I could use my blade to block enemy attacks to survive. However, if I would have to switch my weapon to have another sword health bar, so to speak, so I wouldn't die, that would in turn mean that I will deal a lot less damage than I'm used to do. So you really have to make a judgment call there, like, do you want to still be able to end this fight very quickly and risk the potential of dying, or do you just want to go through the fight? So yeah. Always decisions to be made here. And that is also why it is, up to a little bit of RNG if the enemies like which attacks they are doing, because if they do a lot of, especially the bosses, if they're doing a lot of attacks that you need to block, or you, well, would have to block because of, for whatever reason, well, your sword health bar is like really depleted at that point, and you wouldn't be able to block a lot more without dying. And the game just gave me 3 bronze mirrors in a single fight. Like, what? I mean, I have gotten a bronze mirror like once or twice during all of my runs. I have never, ever gotten 3 bronze mirrors in one fight. And I don't think anybody ever got that as well. Like, that is extremely lucky. Like, the chance of getting one of those is like, I don't know, 5% or something. It's like really low. So getting 3 of them in one fight, that is unheard of.
Yeah, your luck this run has been interesting to say the least.
It is all over the place. Like, this is a very interesting run. It is definitely not gonna be a quote-unquote good time, in a sense that this is not world record or PP pace or anything, but it's just a thing to watch, I want to say. Yeah, where I get hit by a stray shuriken from a ninja, because I actually want to drop a smoke bomb to get out of that fight, because even though it is a ninja encounter, you do not, if you can, fight these ninjas that are flying on these kites above you. Because not only are they hard to hit because they are an airborne enemy, they will also explode when you kill them. And that explosion immediately destroys your sword, hits you, and of course on Fury mode it instantly kills you. And if you can remember, we don't have a lot of options of hitting enemies from afar, so not exactly enticed to fight these guys that could just, well, put me to the grave along with them. So yeah, even though ninjas can drop smoke bombs, I'd rather use a smoke bomb to get out of that fight and not even get that. So the thing that we are picking up here is the Hotpot Cuisine 1. And as I explained earlier, you can get cooking recipes in this game and, well, cook stuff. And the Hotpot Cuisine actually allows us to cook a pheasant stew while we fight another pheasant. And what the pheasant stew does, the cabbage stew increases our strength, so we actually hit harder. What the pheasant stew does, it increases our chance to actually avoid encounters. So that is a good thing, because it just decreases the chance of us getting random encounters along the way. Now again, it is only a chance. I think it is a 5% chance of that skill activating, or rather a 5% decrease to enemy encounters, so it isn't a lot, but it's still better than nothing, right? But yeah, story-wise, we didn't get the soul transfer blade from Yukinojo. So what we are actually, however, he knows where it is. It is in a warehouse of another samurai kind of dude. So we are now on our way to get there. However, there are a lot of monks along the main road. And apparently monks are like really tough enemies for whatever reason, even though we have already slaughtered quite a few of them during random battles, but apparently we are still afraid of them. And because of those monks, we cannot use the main road, the shortest route to get there. We actually have to do a little sidetrack along the snowy mountain coming up in a minute here. And that is basically the goal of the fourth act of the game. So here at this merchant, we can stock up on cabbages and then on pheasants. And we will go ahead and cook our first simmered pheasant. And now you see I have the Ninja Arts cooking buff in the top right corner there, and as I explained earlier, that just means that we have a decreased chance of getting enemies encounters along the way. So let's actually hope that kicks in and well, it does decrease my enemy encounter rate here. Excuse me, sir. I want to get that smoke bomb. Thank you. Getting a little bit close on sword. Yeah, I'm not gonna fight these Kappa again. Thank you very much. I've had enough of you guys. Now this again is another forced encounter. You will always fight these guys, and I barely made it through that. You know, that Toad was about to spit on me. However, as I explained in the fight against Yuji Nojo, if you are quick enough to hold down your block button, you can kind of negate that damage, which is why I didn't die there. Now the thing about dying also is, if you die, you actually lose all your buffs. So for example, if I were to cook a pheasant stew, get into an encounter and die, I would lose the ninja arts buff, which, as you can imagine, is pretty bad because our cooking materials are routed pretty, you know, tight during the run, so there is not a lot of backup there. So you really have to make your cooking buffs and stuff count. And, you know, dying and having to reapply that is a really heavy drain on your resources, especially because you also can't buy all the necessary cooking ingredients at every vendor. Like, there are some of these merchants that we come to that like only sell cabbages or only sell pheasants or sell none of them and only sell smoke bombs and stuff. So it's not even just a matter of finding a merchant, you also have to find the right merchant. And as you can imagine, if I would have to go out of my way to stock up on any of these things, that would be another pretty big time loss. So you are really tight on resources during the whole of this run. But yeah, we are now in Hida, the snowy mountain peak kind of region. As I explained earlier, we are trying to circumvent these monks by going over the mountain instead of around it. So just having a few more random encounters along the way here. Trying to get to the end, and of course, as you can imagine, this is another boss area. We will have another boss fight at the end of it. The boss fight being Ipondatara, who is some kind of mountain deity who kind of doesn't like that we came around and disturbed it at the top of the mountain peak here. He's a bit cross with that, so we'll try to appease him the only way we know how, which is of course with our sword. So let's see how he likes that.
Are we strong enough to pierce rocks?
Pierce rocks?
The mountain god, right?
Oh, I see. Well, he's not that kind of rocky character. But you will see in just a moment here. We are more like, you know, scrubbing his feet, so to speak. He's got some dirty feet, man. Dirty feet. Also, I think I gotta remember in these story sections right here, you have to talk to every NPC in order to progress. So I'm not just doing this for fun here. The prompt to progress with the story will only come up once you've talked to every single NPC. And there is Ipondatara. He's a big dude, so we will fight his foot. He's got big stumpy feet that he wants to show us. And as you can probably imagine, getting hit by that will take a huge drain on your sword gauge, so you do not want to get hit by that. Couple that with the kick that you just saw him doing, which will more or less instantly drain your whole sword gauge anyway, so this is another really dangerous part of the fight. However, it does get a little bit easier going forward, so we just have to get through this foot phase here. Okay, there goes the foot. Now we will jump on his foot and get up to the top, where we'll face Ipondatara himself. And what we want to do here is we just want to redirect the projectiles he fires at us in order to damage him, while we, you know, avoid set projectiles and his fist attacks. Now what you can do is you can opt to attack his fist when it's on screen, when he just holds it there menacingly like this. However, when you do attack that, there is a chance of him that he fires other projectiles that would actually chase you, and you cannot redirect those at him, and again, they will instantly break your blade. So just for the sake of Liblo's marathon safety, I will not try to hurry this encounter along and just fight it normally, so to speak. And now we are in the third phase of the fight, where we'll just hack away on this helpless boar, which is actually his true form. All of the other forms are more like illusions. I will go ahead and bring his health down to a slither left, because what happens now, we will cycle back on the phases. So we'll be in the foot phase again. I can just use my sword special attack to immediately deplete his health bar, which makes it so that we totally skip out on his second foot phase. We are immediately back here in the more easy phase of the fight, which makes this fight now a little bit more easy to get through. Hopefully, and of course, he somehow was able to hit me regardless. What the heck happened there? I wasn't even near that fist. But then again, you do not want to see that fist attack where he just straight up tries to punch you, because as you saw, it immediately breaks your blade. So I guess all the bosses in the game just really want to show off their insta-death attacks today. They are out with a vengeance here. I don't know. Did I maybe miss some kind of meeting these guys had where they discussed some strategies that they want to show off today?
They're just giving the viewers more time to donate to charity.
Probably. Also, this is a nice combo attack he does, where he can stomp the ground. You fly up in the air, you are totally defenseless while you are in the air, you cannot block anything, and if he decides to go ahead and kick you, well, you just die. So, good on you, buddy. Jesus, dude, this run.
Which of the bosses would you say is your favorite?
At the moment, like all of them? Dude, really? Okay, we narrowly dodged that. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I think actually Yukinojo, the boss that we faced before, is probably one of my favorites. Not only because it's the boss that we killed at the first try in this one, but you know, just like the samurai on samurai action, I am, well, I want to say mainly a Ghost of Tsushima speedrunner, if you guys know that game, which is of course, you know, this big samurai game that released last year on the PlayStation. And I just really like the setting and stuff like that, so having that in this game as well, two quote-unquote samurai facing each other, is just, you know, kind of my jam, so to speak. But I think every boss in this game has some interesting properties to them. Yeah, see, that is what is supposed to happen when he doesn't hit you with his fist, even though he did it again, the bastard. Dude. Like, you know, you just have to go to the side to not get hit by that fist attack. But since he hit me last time, even though I wasn't even near that fist, I'm not trusting this anymore as well. Jesus Christ. This game is really out to make me afraid of it today, I think. Alright. Again, we will get him down to a slither of health left, so we can immediately skip the second pedicure phase that is coming up. So there's the stumpy foot down. We will go up once more, and let's hope we can just happily redirect the projectiles back at him. And he doesn't get some kind of a lucky hit in. Alright, he's just trying to squash us. And now we are back in the ball phase, and we should just be able to kill him now, because he doesn't actually have any defense in this phase, and we actually did it. Alright. Oh boy. And with that, we completed the fourth act of the game. which means we are already halfway through the run because there are a total of 8 chapters. Also, there are hot springs in this game, just in case you wanted to know that. Having a little bit of a soak here. And now we can actually resume our quest in trying to get this soul swap blade. So we will now make our way over to this samurai dude and his mansion in order to go ahead and retrieve that. Let's switch our blades back around. Okay. Which is also a little bit strange to me if you think about it, because, you know, we came up into this mountain to circumvent these monks, but now we're just kind of leaving again. I mean, I guess we do it on the other side, but I guess the rounding is a little bit iffy at this point, I want to say. Anyway, yeah, we'll just go ahead, make our way over to the next few areas of the game, and the next boss that is coming up is, you know, probably the inverse of what you just asked. It is one of my least favorite bosses in the run, actually. And the one I actually kind of tend to die to. So, you know, maybe we will have a bit of a reverse psychology thing going on here, where he will actually be the one who gives me the least trouble. So, now let's pray to RNGs that holds true, I suppose.
We'll see about it. In the meantime, is it okay if I read out something?
Go ahead.
Alright, so we would like to remind you that aside from BSG events and their own marathons, ESA also hosts many other events across Europe, including the British UKSG, Hackathon, and a lot more, so be sure to drop a follow to see whenever something is live.
Now, speaking of the monks that we were trying to avoid, well, those were at least some of the monks we were trying to avoid. And as you can see, you know, they're not a big threat to us. So I am always wondering why we had to circumvent them. You know, having to go atop that mountain there to not run into them. But I guess it's just some kind of story reason, I suppose. Because I don't really see them as a threat. I don't know if you guys do. But I can just mow them down by the hundreds. But yeah, we'll be able to buy a few things here. Do want more cabbages. We always want more cabbages. And a few smoke bombs as well. Well, we actually have 8 smoke bombs. That is actually really good. Because as I explained earlier, later on in the run, explicitly meaning chapter 6 and 7, so the next 2 chapters after this one, are where we would be able to fight some big Oni characters, and those guys are like the worst enemies in the game. They are not only huge enemies on screen, they're like really intimidating, but they also deal massive amounts of damage, meaning they will quickly, and I mean very quickly, get rid of your whole sword gauge, or even instantly break it like bosses tend to do. So yeah, you definitely do not want to fight those guys at all if you can help it somehow. And that is why we will need a certain amount of smoke bombs that we can make absolutely sure that we can get out of every encounter with them. And we want to have at least 6 smoke bombs in the boss areas of chapter 6 and 7. And that is why I am trying to make sure that I will be able to go into those areas with that particular amount of smoke bombs. But yeah, you know, we have 8 at the moment, so we do have a little bit of a leeway here. Again, I escaped that encounter because of the flying ninjas up at the top. They are a pain to deal with. I do not want to have to do that. And we will just continue on our merry way into this huge castle. Like, I mean, just look at the background over there. Like, how huge is this place? How wealthy does this person have to be to own all this estate? Like, holy crap.
I have to say, for a game from 2008, you said?
2009.
All this art is very... 2009. All this art is very impressive. Seems more like 2013 to me.
Definitely. And you know, you gotta keep in mind, this was originally released on the Wii, so that's another thing. that you keep in mind. But yeah, like all games from Vanillaware are just high graphic fidelity, I want to say. Like all of their games are just dead drop gorgeous. So, you know, if you think that this art style is something that you could get behind, you know, maybe check out Vanillaware. They make really beautiful games that are also a lot of fun to play. So yeah, there are actually some ninjas hiding up in the rafters over there. Now these silver ninjas, I kinda don't want to fight them because they are the most powerful of the ninja types in the game, and they also explode when they die. So you know, you have to be really careful that you are not near their corpse when they tend to explode, because again, that can take a massive toll on your sword. However, since I only, quote unquote, only have 6 smoke bombs left, and I just explained that I will need a lot of smoke bombs in a short while, I kinda just want to take that encounter there, even though it is a little bit slower and a little bit more dangerous because of those exploding ninjas. I would rather, you know, take a slow fight than not being able to continue at all later on. But we are fast approaching the 5th boss of the game, Nue. Nue is a kind of chimera-like enemy. You know, he's made up of a lot of different kind of animals. And he has a wide array of nasty attacks that, again, can take a huge toll on your sword gauge, which is why he is a bit of a pain to fight. And he's also a flying enemy like one Yudo. So, you know, add all of that up and you are just in for one hell of a fight there. Let me just make sure that I have the right blades equipped here. Because you definitely do want to have the right blades equipped, as you can probably imagine. Just making sure I absolutely have everything set up right here. Okay, this is looking good. Alright, let's see how this guy's gonna treat me. So this fat dude sitting over there, he is the master of Narukami Castle. Supposedly the sword that we are looking for is somewhere in one of his warehouses. So, you know, we just barge in and demand to know where it is, or rather that he hands it over to us. Of course, the talks don't go exactly as planned, and what actually happens here is that some demons will attack very shortly, Nue being one of them. So we'll just have to deal with this guy now. It's like a monkey, snake, lion kind of thing. So let's see how this fight goes. Now we actually want him to do this whirling attack, because we can kind of read what he's gonna do next, because either he will spin in place a little bit and do this rush attack that he just did, which you can just jump over, or he will spin in place and do kind of turn, yeah, this attack right here, where you have to deflect all of these bullets back at him, which will then momentarily stun him so we can hit him. And that is basically how this fight will go for the most part. We could want to try and bait him into doing this swirling attack. Not this. This is actually bad, where he just, you know, stands around and starts shooting these projectiles at you. Because what he will do here, and you can kind of see him try and go for it. He has this paw out, with which he will go ahead and try to swipe you, and that deals massive amounts of damage to your sword. So I absolutely do not want to get hit by that if at all possible, because if you remember, if I have to switch my blade out, I will lose out on a lot of attack power, meaning the fight will go really slowly. And you know, this is still a speedrun. We still are trying to go fast here, so I don't want to try and make that happen. So let's see. Oh, come on, just do the roly-poly. No, don't do that. I'm not liking how this is looking. Not liking this at all. Well, he's not doing his attack. And there he did it. Because what he does is when he's you know, engulfed in these red flames, his attacks become homing attacks, so he will just try and swipe you. And Again, not what we want to see, because that will just instantly destroy his blade. I could have probably just swapped it out for another one and take the hit on my attack power to make this fight go a little bit more slowly but safely. I would probably opt to do that going forward.
So, since this demon is technically also a mix of animals, can we make two from it?
Yeah, he's a bit. The thing that I'm missing with this guy is the bird. So you can say that he's an RPG jerk bird. That's like all that is missing from this guy, I suppose.
Almost.
I mean, he is flying, so that kind of counts, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. What also counts is donations towards Mind. PSG is raising money for Mind, which is a nationwide organization committed to prevent mental health issues and to support everyone who is dealing with mental health issues themselves or within their family. Any donations that you donate here will go to Mind.
Alright, we're just back in the game here. So let's see. What are you up to do, dude? Okay, you're doing the rolling attack. That is good. I want to see you do the rolling attack. So whenever you see them, or whenever you see bosses being engulfed in those red flames there, that means they are kind of in their quote-unquote desperation phase, where they're trying to attack a little bit faster. They're going to use their most damaging attacks more often, stuff like that. So that just means, that the fight is starting to heat up a little bit there. Gotta be more careful. As you saw that now, his swipe attack also has these homing abilities. Or properties, rather. Yeah, I'll definitely go ahead and switch out my blade here. Dude, just do the other attack. Oh, God. Another thing that also happens, not that, I didn't want to talk about that happening, obviously, is the blades that you are not using at the moment will actually regenerate their health. So, if one of your blades is about to break, you can of course switch to another blade to hopefully have that other blade regenerate. You're still losing out on the attack buff, obviously, that I have explained a couple times now. So again, we actually don't want to do that during a boss fight, but it seems like these enemies, they just had a big old meeting, and we're trying to pass around their screen time here.
Right, so I see a combo meter on the screen. Does that increase your damage or something?
No, it's more or less for flavor only. It has no tangible, gameplay effects. That is the question. It's just,
Fair enough.
bit of a gauge of how quote-unquote well you're doing, I guess. I think you get a little bit more XP out of that at the end of a fight or something like that, but I actually can't remember because it is a bit superfluous in my opinion. But, it's just nice to have it there, I guess. Because there are some really big fights in the optional arenas that you can do, which of course we won't be doing in a speedrun, that have this huge fights going on where you can get like in the hundreds of combos. And there are even some trophies for that, if you are into that kind of thing, that you can try and rack up. Okay, this is looking better. Kinda. At least he's doing his rolling attacks like he is supposed to. Not all this flying around trying to hit me with his claw. Come on, dude. Be nice. For once.
So, the real question is, who organized that meeting?
Uh, that's a good question. I hope not the last boss. Because, if he wants to have more time in the limelight then... Oh, well, actually, no, the last boss isn't that bad, actually. Now that I think about it. It's really just the flying enemies, like, Nui and One Yudo, as you saw, that can pose, well, I want to say the most problems in the run, simply because you are actually limited in how you approach them with having to do the aerial attacks on them, because aerial combat in this game is a little bit iffy in my opinion. As all of your attacks have a certain amount of momentum, so you also cannot actually cancel them into other attacks, probably to get out of the way of dangerous situations, stuff like that. How did that hit me? Okay, so how this attack works is you see that Nue stays in the air. Then you know that he is gonna do this, attack where he slides on the ground or whatever and tries to ram you in a way. And you just have to jump over it. There is no other trick to it. You just have to jump. No questions asked. But for some reason, the hitbox of that attack seems to have extended upward in a way and was able to reach me at the apex of my jump, just as we were about to defeat him. So even though victory was very nearly in our grasp, I guess he wanted even more time in the spotlight. Alright. What is this now? Fifth time? Fifth try? Something like that? This is getting ridiculous.
I think so, yeah.
So when he does that, he just swirls around in the air. You know he's gonna do this ram attack where he just lands on the ground. And of course, it will immediately break your blade if you get hit by that. But, you can just jump over it, no questions asked. It is very easy to avoid, so I have no idea how that was able to hit me. Now, this attack where he actually stays in the air and shoots out these fireballs at you is a little bit more dangerous because you have to reflect all of them back at him. Otherwise, he will spin in place like a big old tornado. And again, he will suck you in because, that's probably a tornado, I suppose. And he just destroyed my blade again because apparently that was too low on God meter. And when you get sucked into this tornado, he will also just immediately break your blade, which I don't think I have to tell you anymore. That is just bad. That can happen. Also, for anybody asking, why are we running this Fury mode category? Because it is hella hard. This is actually my standard category. When I run this game, I do it on Fury. And let me just tell you, I don't think I've had this much of a bad luck or string of bad luck, like ever since I started playing this game. So, yeah. The enemies really are out for blood today. So, dude, could you just start spinning, please? Can you stop flying around? Thank you. That is very kind. And now don't hit me, I suppose. Also, you see him just jumping around there over my head from time to time. It is actually random how often he decides to just, jump before he becomes stationary and decides to do the rush attack or the tornado attack. So again, there is a little bit of, RNG, surprisingly, in place there. I'm definitely gonna swap out the blade there. This is bad because I can't see him. So he's stayed in the air, so we know he's gonna do the ram attack. And now because I had to switch out my blades, of course, I will have only very little attack power here because I lost the transfer. So this fight will be a little bit more. It'll take a little bit longer now, but at least we are starting to get through it. And I guess at this point, this is all that I'm asking for. So yeah, this is where he hit me last time when I was in the corner. Probably just the tip of his tail hitting me there or something. Which was very unfortunate. Alright. We are starting to get in control here, so let's hope that he keeps on spinning. He does, which is very good. That is what we want to see, as always. Now you might ask, okay, so, you know, I swapped my blade. It has less attack power now. Why don't I just go ahead and use one of my other two swords to actually try and damage the boss? Well, there are actually two different types of swords that you can equip. One are the smaller blades, and then there are the larger blades. And I will only ever use the smaller blades because they are, you know, faster to swing around with. Your combos come out quicker. Of course, they deal a little bit less damage per swing, but you know, you can attack so fast with them, it doesn't really matter. And of course, on the flip side, you have the bigger swords that are, of course, dealing more damage per swing, but they are so slow to do that it's really not worth it to ever try and attack with them, because you leave yourself so open for enemy counter attacks that you're gonna have a really bad time if you decide to use them. And all the other two blades that I have equipped at the moment are long swords, the big swords. So yeah, that's just not an option really to try and attack the boss with, and that is why I'm sticking with the first blade that I have equipped, even though I'm not nearly dealing as much damage anymore. However, I can try and go for just using the special of my second blade here, and there we go. All right, it was just enough to get through that fight. So that is Nui down. This was actually the boss that I was most concerned about in the run, so fingers crossed that the last three remaining bosses maybe skipped out on the meeting, you know, and we will have a little bit of more of a smooth sailing going on here. But seeing how this run is just going, oof, I guess prepare for the worst.
I think you're still good on time, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Oh, we will definitely finish this one. I am committed here, you know. I want to see those guys grovel in the dirt before me, for sure.
Like a true samurai.
But yeah, just coming back to the story for a moment. What happened there is that demons attacked the fortress, which we were in, and I just have not enough yet. Okay, and they stole the blade that we were after, you know, the soul swap blade there. And now, since they are demons, they gone ahead and dragged that sword into hell. So, of course, as a reasonable person, we are now gonna go to Yamashiro province to enter hell and retrieve that blade. That's the sensible thing to do, right? Just go to hell, I suppose. And that is, of course, where the big Onis are gonna be, as I explained earlier. You know, the ones that we absolutely do want to run from. Wait, this one. Now, the thing that actually also happened is, since we did have a lot of quote-unquote bad encounters, I am starting to be a little bit behind on levels, which is why I couldn't equip the Blade of Moonlit Blossoms as soon as I forged it. I had to be level 14 for that. So, yeah, let's hope that we are getting some good encounters along the way, even though, of course, you don't want to get too many encounters, again. Just save it a little bit on time, so, keep crossing your fingers, guys. Keep crossing your fingers. Coming up is the region of Omi. Omi is, well, probably the least favorite area of a lot of people, because the terrain is like really tricky to navigate. You can see all these trees and branches that you have to jump on top of. However, it is very hard to actually see which of those are actually in the foreground and which are in the background. And on top of that, you have to deal with all of these flying enemies. So yeah, fighting in this area is definitely not advised. So we will try to run from each and every encounter that we will come across here. Okay, not getting a lot of encounters so far. It's already good. Ninja Art's doing its thing. Yeah, I even won't be fighting these ninjas, even though I could have. But the terrain is just not made for good fighting there. You definitely have no option of grouping up these enemies correctly, so you can make these fights go over quickly. They would be all over the place, and then you would have to watch out for attacks coming from every which direction, which, you know, can be pretty tricky for sure. So I definitely do not want to risk that if I can help it. So yeah, now we are in Yamashiro, so we will do another quick shopping trip here. We will need to stock up on smoke bombs. Like I said, we need at least 6. We have 5 at the moment, so not a lot lost. I will probably see if I can maybe pick up some more, just in case, you know, just in case the game decides to do the thing it's been doing for the whole of this run here.
I mean, you have the luck with the bronze mirrors.
Yeah, the problem is, though, I have way more bronze mirrors than I would ever need during the whole run, because we need a total of 7. So basically, no, I think it's 6 bronze mirrors. Basically, after every boss fight, excluding the first boss and the last boss, obviously. So yeah, even though I got these 3 drops, I think I was able to save a little bit of money because I didn't have to buy, I think, 2 at that point. So yes, we saved time, but not time. We saved a bit of money, but it won't make that much of an impact, sadly. So yeah. Yeah, even though we did have some luck during the run, it didn't have a lot of effect, I guess. So yeah, this is where we're gonna do a quick shopping trip. So we will buy smoke bombs. I think I will even buy 1 more. And then some pheasants. Okay, so we have 8 smoke bombs. We should be good. We should be. Right, game? We are good, right? Right, game? I freaking hope so. Alright, yeah, we will just continue making our way to hell through this lovely area here.
Do you mind if I read out something while you
Go
make
ahead.
your way to the hotel? Alright, so if you've been enjoying the event so far and would like to donate to some incentives that are coming up, we have the Kingdom Hearts Birthday Sleep choice between Terra, Aqua, or Ventus, which 189 euros has already been donated to. Currently, Ventus is in the lead with 112 towards it. Aqua follows up with 60, and Terra is currently last with 17. Furthermore, there's also the Hollow Knight All Skills incentive. It's a bit war between the ending choice between killing Myla or talking to Elderbug, which still hasn't had anything donated to it. It's coming up around the end of the marathon. So if you'd like to give one of the choices a head start, you could do that now.
Okay, I actually had to backtrack a little there because I actually forgot to take a look at my notes and pick up the Chaos Mask. Now, the Chaos Mask is the only other accessory aside from the Tango Mask that we will be picking up during the whole of the run. And the Chaos Mask is basically a souped up version of the Tango Mask. Now, the Tango Mask increased my strength and vitality by 1 point, and the Chaos Mask is gonna do both of it at 3 points. And I will need that to be able to equip some of the more powerful weapons coming up here. And yeah, welcome to hell. You know, all it took apparently was to go ahead and jump down this well all the way to the bottom. And that is how you go to the core of the earth / hell, apparently.
Hello.
And yeah, those are the encounters where we will now be able to face those big Onis that I have alluded to earlier. Already got into 2 encounters there. You couldn't see them because I escaped the fight before they were actually on screen. And I hope we will be able to continue doing that, but just the fact that I needed to already use 2 smoke bombs and my third here, you saw one of those like on the right on the screen there for just a moment. Yeah, I am starting to be a little bit concerned about my stockpile of smoke bombs here. Not necessarily for this area, I think we're still good to get through hell, but like I said before, we will be facing those Oni in the next act as well, where I will also need a proper stock of smoke bombs. So, oh god. We're just getting every single encounter, even though I have ninja odds up. Is that it? I think I shouldn't have bought so many pheasants in my drawer there. So we'll probably get one more at least. Okay, we made it out with 2. Oh boy, that is gonna be dicey. Okay, we will equip that. We will cook some more cabbage stew. And then we are off to the 6th boss of the game, which is the Boss Oni. And the Boss Oni is a pretty interesting fight in that it is also divided between 2 phases that you are gonna switch back and forth between. The first phase is, this area that we are running around right now, where we will not be only facing the big guy, as you can see on the right of the screen there, but also his little helpers. So there are a lot of enemies that we will have to fight at once. We'll also fight inside this guy's stomach, because, he's a little bit hungry, and Momohime kind of didn't get the memo of running away from people that want to eat her. So, yeah, we will start off the fight inside the stomach of this guy. At least there isn't a lot going on inside of him. You will get poisoned, so your health will slowly tick down. However, since we are playing on Fury mode and we only have 1 HP, well, that doesn't do anything to us, because we can't lose any more HP. The poison doesn't kill you. So we can just safely ignore all of that. But once he spits us out, what we want to do is we want to jump on his belly and start slashing at his head to stun lock him until, he faces the camera like this, after which he will get hungry again and basically put us back into his belly, where we'll just repeat the cycle anew. Now, the thing that can happen here, you see all these little Oni running around outside, and, they are throwing their weapons at me, which means I will sometimes have to stop and block their attacks so I don't die, which then means I may not be able to properly stun lock the boss, so you can actually use some of his normal attacks, which is very bad, as all of his attacks basically break your sword. Or this can happen, where one of the, the block actually puts me outside of the range where he would go and grab me to put me back into his stomach. And now we have to hide behind these rocks for a little bit so the big guy calms down, so you can actually hit him again, because he is angry at the moment. And that is the RNG that can come into place here. Now, this is actually the best thing that can happen, where he stands at the edge of the screen and I can just mercilessly attack him without having to worry about maybe sliding down from his belly or his head, depending on where you are attacking him from. So that's actually pretty good. Let's see if you can keep this up. So hopefully we'll be able to end the fight right around here.
So would you say this is like the only fight that might be easier in Fury mode?
Not necessarily, I don't say. I mean, yes, you don't get affected by the poison, but it's more of an inconvenience than a threat anyway, I want to say. It just really depends on how well you can manage these little Oni, I want to say, so they don't screw with your positioning. So we are now on top of his head where we can do the slide attacks. His head is kind of a platform, so you can actually slide off it with your attack, which would be very bad because then having to get up on his head again, loses your time, which means he isn't stun locked and you can start using his other attacks. So you have to be really, really careful about that happening. But yeah, that was a pretty good fight. I mean, it was a phenomenal fight, seeing how the run has been going so far. But yeah, it was just a little bit unfortunate that I was put out of position before he could grab and eat me again at that one point. But other than that, that fight went pretty good. So I'm happy with that one. So yeah, as it turns out now at this point is that Momohi's body, can't take the stress anymore of being separated from her soul for so long. So the body is starting to fail. It's starting to die, to wither away. So, what can we do at this point? Well, the sensible thing to do here is, of course, to go to heaven, now that we have been to hell, and try to become an evil demigod. Because, those have a pretty long lifespan, right? So let's see if we can make something like that happen. But I will definitely go ahead and stock up on a few smoke bombs there, because I do not like the amount that I'm having left.
Well, that was a plot twist.
Yeah, we've been at the top. Now we've been at the bottom. Now we go all the way up to the top. So let's see how
your
well that goes.
RNG also thinks that way.
Yeah, like the boss, the 7th boss coming up, spoilers, it's gonna be Raijin, is another flying enemy type. So enemy boss, so you can kind of already see where the pattern is going there. She is like the, last big roadblock, I want to say, the last really scary fight left in the run. So fingers crossed that things will work out. But now that we are in the 7th act of the game, we can start picking up these Uchimori whetstones. And I nearly forgot to pick up one over here. And there are different kinds of whetstones in the game. Now what these whetstones do is you can actually replenish your sword gauge with them. So, it's basically a health replenish, but for your sword instead of for you. And they come in a couple different qualities, from like small replenishes to big replenishes to replenishes for multiple of your blades at once. And then there are the Uchimori whetstones. And what those actually do is they make it so that you actually cannot decrease, or rather that your sword health doesn't decrease at all for a set amount of time. And that sounds good, right? You're basically invulnerable for a short amount of time. However, we need all of them for the last boss of the game. So, we will have to hold on to those for the... Oh, wait, where the hell am I even going? I need to go left first. Hey, let me just collect my thoughts here. I need to make a save here, because we will be coming back to this point. And then we can go here. Yes, okay. And you saw me sometimes do it, and I haven't specifically talked about it yet, but each of our swords has different special abilities. That is basically what you're seeing up on the top middle of the screen for the whole time, like Thunderstorm 1. That would be the special ability of the sword that I have equipped right now. And that is actually what we're going to use, because if you were to use the special abilities of your sword, it would also deplete your sword gauge. And that is of course not very good in Fury mode, where those are basically the only thing between you and death, which is the sword gauge. So we are not using a lot of our sword special abilities during this run. And with the Uchimori whetstones, of course, we can start to spam those like quite heavily. And that is basically what we are going to do against the very last boss. But in order to be able to do that, of course, I will have to pick up all these different stones on the way. So it is critically important that I do not miss any of those going through the next few areas, as it would make the last boss fight of the game a hell of a lot harder. So let's just get rid of these Tangus. Again, this would normally be an encounter that you would opt to skip, but since we are kind of low on smoke bombs at the moment, I would rather just, fight or take these slow fights just so I can make sure that I have enough smoke bombs to be able to get through the boss area at the end, so we can actually skip the fights against the more crucial enemies. And this of course puts me in a bit of a pickle here, as we have some of those flying ninja dudes that I said earlier that I do not want to fight if at all possible, and it seems like I guess we just have to do exactly that. Now we can use of course our sword draw. Okay, how are we gonna deal with you? I guess I can try this. Okay, I guess that'll work out. Okay, good. Yeah, again, normally I would just try and run from that, but since we are so low on smoke bombs, well, not low, I mean, we have 6 now, but I just want to try and hold on to those if possible. Definitely need more cabbages though, and some more pheasants if we can. I think we should actually be kind of good on resources from this point on. So we have a lot of cabbages, we have a lot of pheasants, yeah, this is starting to look better. Sorry?
I asked if you had enough good RNG.
Well, seeing how this run has been going so far, I would say that is a resounding no. But, it can pick up, maybe, eventually. Fingers crossed.
Maybe it will even out.
Yeah. But this is actually one of the encounters that you kind of want to see against these small Oni, because they are neatly lined up in front of you. You can just rush through them, easy to defeat, quick fight, run and done. I want to see more of those, game. Could we have more of those, please? Maybe? I'll also take monks. Monks aren't that bad as well. But yeah, we'll probably just go ahead and take every encounter that I come across for a little while until I have entered the boss area of Chapter 7. Because, it took me like, what, 5 or 6 smoke bombs to get through the boss area of Chapter 6. So let's hope that that doesn't repeat. Alright. We are now on Mount Kamiji, which we will ascend to enter heaven. So I hope you guys brought your magnifying glasses if you want to have a look around Japan. Because, well, if you are in heaven, you have a nice look at everything that spreads out below you. A lot of these story gates everywhere, symbolizing our ascent. I think there's still one monk missing. There was.
So, do you have time for me to read out some plugs?
Go ahead.
Right. If you like our event and you'd like to stay updated with our events, you can do so by following us on Twitter and Instagram under the handle BSG Marathon. Get a behind-the-scenes look of the event and stay up to date with the latest news on our marathons, events, and more. We are also in the process of uploading our VODs to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/bsgmarathon. Be sure to check it out and eventually maybe subscribe as well to find a video per day in your feed.
Okay, we are now in heaven, which is symbolized by these lovely yellow celestial clouds going on. And there's a new type of enemy that we're gonna encounter, which are these, well, butterflies, moths, whatever you want to call them. They are not that dangerous on their own. The only quote-unquote attack that they have is they will spray this purple poison mist everywhere. And again, as I explained, poison doesn't actually affect us on Fury mode because we only have 1 HP anyway. However, in the moment that they are pooping out that mist or whatever, it actually counts as an attack. It can hit you, and of course, since you only have 1 HP, it will kill me. So you have to be a little bit careful going up in this screens so you don't actually come into contact with one of these butterflies just as they are about to spray their poison mist everywhere. So this can be a little bit tricky to navigate here. As you can see me get hit quite a few times by the mist there, but I was able to block it, so we were able to survive it. So we are fast approaching Raijin, the boss of this area, and again, I actually needed to use like, what, another 5 or 6 smoke bombs here, so my god, the game is really out for blood today. So we will forge some more blades here. The blade of budding roses and the blade of waning hope, which we will both equip for the upcoming fight. I'll actually cook something here. And yeah, let's see how this boss fight goes. Like I said, Raijin is another flying enemy. We can actually completely stunlock her for the whole of the fight if she flies to the right spots. So again, this is, you can kind of lead her on, but this is still a bit up to RNG. So let's hope that she behaves and comes down to the ground where I can actually hit her with this attack, because if I use this 3 times, I can just make her drop to the ground and wail on her. And that is basically, if everything goes right, that is all that you will see of this fight. She will hop back on her little cloud and start flying around in just a moment. We will just hope that she stays on the ground so I can hit her with that special again. And of course she doesn't do it immediately. Come back down. Okay, coming down. A little more down. No? Okay. Okay. So, never lucky. Okay, now we'll just have to wait for her to finish her attacks. And maybe she decides to come back down then. No, she decides. Oh yeah, there she goes. And she immediately left again. Awesome. Okay, so she's just going through all of her attack patterns at the moment. So she will just teleport around the place and try to hit you with her electrified fist. And as you can imagine, that hurts. It will immediately break your blade. So again, I do not want to get hit by that. Could you come down, sweetie? Can I get out? I can. Barely. Oh, this is bad. Yeah. She cornered me by flying around. I wasn't able to get around quickly enough, and that is why we died at that point. So let's try that again. Alright. 3 uses of the special. Then we will start hitting her. I can actually just go ahead and use that so my other sword can regenerate a little bit there. It doesn't actually matter if we switch blades in that fight as much, because both of these blades are very close in power, so we're not losing out on a lot of attack if we do decide to switch blades. I should be able to hit her here. She actually stays on the ground for a bit. For some reason she doesn't get stunned though. Oh, she does now. But now we have to deal with these electricity balls. See if I can manage to time that, so we hit them with our attacks to get rid of them. That was good. And then we'll just wail on her for a little while until she decides to get up. Okay, what are you gonna do now? Now you can try and hit Raijin while she is doing her attacks here. However, as you can see, she is surrounded by these glowing discs that will very quickly destroy your sword. So I would rather not take the risk of going through that process. seeing how this run has been going so far. So when she does that, you are just supposed to lead her around the room. However, of course, you need a bit of space to actually go ahead and do that. Not getting a lot of good opportunities to actually hit her, though, as she is just teleporting way too much. I don't think I've seen her be this active. Normally, she just stays around in the middle of the screen a lot. Oh god, I didn't see the electricity balls. Of course I didn't. As they were rushing at me. Okay, that one was actually totally on me because I just didn't hold down the block button at the right time. But as we say, third time's the charm. So let's try and hit. Let's lose this sword, please. Again, I'm switching the weapons here, so this first sword that I'm using the special with that we use to stun her can regenerate a little bit, so I can actually go ahead and use that once she gets up. And that is actually what you want to see her do, you know, just immediately get up on her cloud right where she is, so you can just go ahead, use that special again, stun lock her, get her down to the ground and start hitting her again. But of course the AI doesn't always do that, and you just have to be a little bit lucky there. But this is starting to look good. We could stun lock her again before she was able to do anything, and that is basically what you want to see out of this fight. Basically nothing. If you don't see any of her attacks, it was a great fight. If you see her do attacks, well, things are probably start to go south really quickly.
So while you're taking on the boss, I'll just chime in to say that if we want to thank PSA for supporting the event and for allowing us to stream on their channel. For information about their upcoming events and changes due to the COVID-19 outbreak, be sure to check esamarathon.com or join their Discord for announcements.
Do I even have to say anything at this point? I mean, you saw what happened there, right?
I saw it, yes.
So yeah, we had perfect luck on the fight itself, but then at the end, I just ran out of meter for my specials, so I wasn't completely able to stun lock her, and he just had a sliver of health left. However, I was locked in my animation where I was switching my sword to, you know, try and use one that still had a little bit of health left, so to speak. And in that instant, one of her electricity balls hit me, and I died. Just as we were hits away from the victory there. So I guess we just have to go ahead and try that again. So that is also something that can happen when these electricity balls hit you. You will of course start blocking them, which will also take away from your sword's health gauge. And that can deplete it very quickly, so I wasn't able to, you know, time that properly like I did last time. The heck? Ah, god. Insert, this is going well mean.
Do swords have different health bars, or are they all the same?
No, they have different health bars, so you can switch around them to try and tank some attacks. However, I am specifically trying to use this special attack from this particular sword, which is why I have to have it out to, you know, before Raijin starts doing anything, so I can stun lock her on the ground. And what this attack does, it basically splits Momohime in two, one on the right and one on the left of the enemy, and hits her from both sides. However, it has a very short range, and you have to be on even ground to use it. like you just saw there. And you know, since Raijin is a flying enemy, it is very hard to hit her with this ability, which is the crux of the matter at this point. And that is why we want her to stay near the ground. And of course, Raijin, being the awesome gal that she is, doesn't do that, obviously. Now there really isn't an adequate backup to this strategy that I could try and go for. So I really just have to try and bait her to come down to the ground. You can try and, of course, stay on these cloud platforms to do it there, but you know, they have very little space to work with there. It is very finicky, as you know, these glowing discs surrounding her also have a bit chalk there. Oh god, this is looking fun. Okay, can I hit her foot? I can't, of course. Oh god. Okay, that was lucky. That is her like most powerful attack, so to speak, which she just, you know, hits the ground with her foot like that, and it can very easily kill you. Surprise, surprise. But I think she. Oh god, girl, you were just where I wanted you. Couldn't capitalize on that. Alright, my god, that took forever. Yep, and of course that would happen. Now the thing is, again, I used my okay, let's change our strategy here, because this is obviously not working. I will just go ahead and start using some of our whetstones that we have picked up. We didn't get a lot of them. The thing is, I can opt to use some of the whetstones that we have picked up over the course of the run to try and repair my sword, so I can use that. However, as I explained earlier, I need a few of those as backup against the last boss, so I'm, you know, a little bit between a rock and a hard place here, because I didn't get a lot of those over the course of the run. So I have to make a bit of a judgment call how hard I want to make the last boss fight onto me. Okay, at least we can hit Raijin from here. We can't. Oh god, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad.
So I did just hear that after you beat this boss, or on your next that, we will be having to move on to the next game due to you know, the schedule. So
Definitely. So let's see if we can at least make Raijin come down from her cloud there. See if we can at least get rid of this fight. No, we can.
Alright, that would be fine then.
I am terribly sorry about the way this run handled, but I mean, as you can saw, this is a really RNG heavy fight. A lot of things can just go wrong at this point. So we only had one more act to go through. Sadly, we didn't get there. But I think you just saw still a lot of Muramasa. It is still a fun game to go through. It can totally kick your ass if you're not prepared for it. Things can go sideways. Sorry, did so much in this run, but yeah, still, thank you guys for having me. I have a lot of fun with the rest of the marathon. Good luck to all the runners, because as you just saw, you can definitely need it at some point. And have a fun weekend, have a fun marathon. Until next time.
Well, despite all that tough RNG, Aeshmah, I want to thank you for that amazing run. You did a good job, despite all that bad energy, to show us so much of the game. Um, Next up, we will be moving over to RZR 360 with Ninja Gaiden Black any percent normal. However, first we're going to go to a quick intermission and play some ads. I will also be signing off as host. It was a pleasure to be on here. Your next host will be Killer Chair.